In this movie, I'll show you how the 3 auto commands affect our washed out portrait. And I'll also introduce you to a 4th hidden auto feature that's going to make all the difference. And by the time we're done, we'll have this image fully corrected. Now notice that I have a bunch of different layers stacked on top of each other. They're all copies of that same image, just so that we can compare the effects. On top we have the control layer, which I won't modify. I'll just go ahead and turn it off for now. Now I'll click on the auto tone layer. They all look the same, by the way, for starters. And I'll go up to the image menu and choose auto tone. And this is that command that makes the darkest color black and the lightest color white on a channel by channel basis. It can fare well for some images, and I'll show you an image that it works great on. But when the image doesn't have a color cast in the first place, as this one doesn't, it's going to introduce a color cast as we're seeing here. So it ends up giving her a kind of greenish, ghoulish look, which is not what we want. So I'll go ahead and turn that layer off. Then I'll switch to the auto contrast layer, go up to the image menu and choose the auto contrast command. This is that one that turns the darkest color black and the lightest color white on a composite basis. So in other words, it does not introduce a color cast, meaning that it doesn't modify the color cast. And since we don't have a color cast in the first place, that suits our image quite nicely, and we get this pretty darn great correction here. I'll go ahead and turn that one off, and then I'll click on Auto Color here inside the Layers panel, go up to the image menu and choose the 3rd of the auto commands, Auto Color, which, as you may recall, attempts to neutralize the midtones. Sometimes it works out great. In the case of our image, it really doesn't. We end up getting this sort of bluish look. So just to give you a sense, I'll turn on Auto Tone. Auto Tone, we got kind of a greenish look to the image, as you can see here. And then Auto Color, it ends up turning a little bit blue. All right, now for the hidden auto function. I'll go ahead and turn Auto Color off, and I'll click on this layer Auto BC, which stands for Automatic Brightness Contrast. To get to that one, you go up to the image menu, choose Adjustments, and then choose the Brightness Contrast command. And notice that we have a couple of sliders, Brightness and Contrast, pretty darn easy to use, although I'll cover them in more detail in the very next movie. For now, I'm just going to click on this Auto button. And at first it's going to seem like nothing's happening, but it's because it's computationally intensive and it's trying to gauge what's going on inside the image. But in a moment or two, you will see the image shift on screen as it has here. Now, if you don't love what you see, because it's a pretty subtle modification in this case, you can adjust the sliders to taste. And I'll show you how to do that, as I say, in the next movie. But for now, I'm just going to click OK in order to accept that modification, because I want you to see that there are certain circumstances under which you might want to combine a couple of auto features together. And this image is a perfect example. I'm going to turn off Auto BC, and we'll see down here at the bottom Double Auto. And I'll start things off by going up to the image menu and choosing Auto Contrast in order to apply that effect, because so far it's the most successful thing we've seen. And then I'll go up to the image menu, choose Adjustments, and choose what is so far the second to most successful option, which is Brightness Contrast, and click on It's Auto button there, and wait a few moments for the effect to apply, and you'll know it applies as soon as you see different values show up here inside the dialog box. And sure enough, we get yet a different effect. And of everything that I've seen so far, it's my favorite. I'll go ahead and click OK in order to accept that effect. And just so you can see the difference, I'll press Control-Z or Command-Z on the Mac so you can see Auto Contrast on its own. And then if I press Control or Command-Z again, you can see this is the effect of combining Auto Contrast along with the Auto button that's included with the Brightness Contrast command. All right, let me end things by showing you a circumstance under which Auto Tones works great. So I've got this photograph here that I shot of this turtle in St. Thomas, and I had free dived down about 40 feet in order to get to this turtle. And so as a result, we don't have much in the way of colors. The deeper you get in the water, the more color gets filtered out. And the first color to get filtered away is red, and then yellow. And pretty soon you're left with nothing but greens and blues, as we're seeing here. So this qualifies as an image that has a huge color cast. And when you run into an image like this, you want to try out either autotone or auto color. I'll start with auto color because many times it stands the biggest chance of doing a good job. In this case, it looks okay. Not that great though. So I'll press Ctrl-Z or Command-Z on the Mac to undo that change. And then I'll go up to the image menu and try out auto tone instead. And we end up getting this effect here. And we can still see some optical reflections going on inside the water. And that's because I had my flash turned on and is catching some of the bubbles and other stuff inside the water. But otherwise, the turtle looks great. This is the before version, which we started off with. And you might look at this and think this is an image beyond hope. But it actually turns out to be one of those images that all you have to do is apply a single automatic command. So there you have it, a few different ways to apply automatic color corrections to photographic images here inside Photoshop.